It's natural to assume certain things in our closest relationships to people. We should be able to assume and trust that certain people in our lives have our backs. We should be able to assume and trust that the people closest to us are people that will be willing to give something up when we really need them, and will be willing to do the same in return. When we form close relationships with narcissists, this unfortunately is not the case. Narcissists don't have our backs, and sometimes we don't learn this until it's far too late, or until we really need them for something. And if we have a very close relationship with a narcissist, sometimes it can be very hard for us to believe that they don't actually have our backs, even after they've demonstrated it to us several times. In this video, I'm going to talk about why narcissists don't actually have our backs and how we can be fooled into believing that they do, and who it is in our lives that we actually should be able to trust. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. When we form close relationships with narcissists in our lives, it's very common for them to do things which create the illusion that we can trust them, create the illusion that we can rely on them, and that when push comes to shove and we really need some help, they're going to be there for us. It's not uncommon for many narcissists to be there in times like if your car breaks down, they're the one that you can call and they will come and help you. Or if you get in trouble somehow, they present themselves as the person that you can trust and rely on. And it's really not uncommon for some narcissists to actually be reliable to the point where we become convinced that they are someone that we can rely on. And they might say that they have your back. They might say things that somehow imply or promise that they're going to be there for you when you really need them. And if we don't really understand what narcissism is, we don't really have any reason not to trust this person. They're doing all the things that earn our trust. Everything seems fine. We called them when our car broke down and they were there for us. We really need to trust people in our lives. As human beings, we need to be able to trust each other to an extent, or we need to at least have a short list of people that we know we can trust. So in a way, narcissists are taking advantage of human nature and taking advantage of basic human needs when they convince you that they are someone that you can trust and that they are someone that's going to have your back when you really need them. But of course, narcissists don't really have our backs. And everything that a narcissist does for us comes with a price tag. Everything they do is transactional. So every time they came to help you when your car broke down, they expect something in return for that. Even if all they're getting in return for it is the opportunity to play the hero, to make themselves look good. If it doesn't really cost them anything or really put them at risk, they can be more than happy to do things for you that benefit them in that way. And that's why it can be such a shock when we run into situations where the narcissist pulls the rug out from under us, where maybe they betray a secret that we confided in them, or we end up in a situation where we pay the price for something that they either put us up to or led us to do, or pay the price for something that they actually did, where we're left holding the bag and the narcissist is nowhere to be found, or we realize that the narcissist actually set us up in some way and left us holding the bag. Narcissists might seem to be loyal to you. They might seem to have your back. They might seem to be someone you can trust until you no longer have anything to offer them, or until they've already gotten everything that they wanted out of you and they no longer have any use for you. Once a narcissist really doesn't have anything left to extract from you, they have no reason to give you any more of themselves. This can be a huge shock, a really painful shock, when we have spent so much time building up trust, or so much time believing that this person cared about us and that this was somebody that we could trust. Being able to trust people is a basic human need, and narcissists are taking advantage of this when they convince you that they are someone that you can trust. So this is really painful when the rug's pulled out from under us, or when we're suddenly thrown under the bus by somebody that we felt safe with. And narcissists do this in all kinds of ways. Sometimes they're completely discarding us and abandoning us and leaving us holding the bag or holding the blame for something they've done. Or sometimes they can do this in little ways, and we can keep the relationship going, kind of trying to excuse the small ways that they abandon us or leave us without support, thinking that this must be some kind of aberration of their character, or maybe they just don't realize it. Things like when we go to them for emotional support, or try to confide something in them, or try to tell them something that's troubling us. Narcissists can tend to play devil's advocate, like say, well, okay, maybe that person said something really hurtful to you, but what did you do to deserve that? Or maybe you're just taking it the wrong way. Narcissists have a really, really hard time validating people's emotions. I don't know that they're capable of it at all, actually. But they are really good at convincing you that you're to blame for everything, that all of your emotions are totally unreasonable, that everything's your fault, that everything bad that's happened to you must be your fault somehow, and that people that treated you badly must have had a good reason. These are the little ways that narcissists abandon us when we go to them for the emotional support that we expect from them. So these can be the little red flags that can clue us in that we're with somebody that really doesn't have our back and isn't going to be there for us when we really, really need them the most. So why is this? Why is it that narcissists really are never going to have your back? What is it about narcissism that makes a narcissist so ready to abandon anyone that actually needs their help? Well, first, I think we need to establish what it means to have somebody's back. What is the bare minimum that we owe to the people that are closest to us in our lives? I think that when someone truly has our back, that person is somebody that we can count on, that when we really run into a tough situation, we know that that person is going to be there for us, even if it costs them something, even if they have to take a risk or give something up. And somebody that has our back is somebody that actually truly cares about us. Somebody that trusts us in return, that trusts that we'll be there for them if they need us. And somebody that has our back is also somebody that we feel safe with, that we feel safe confiding things in. Somebody that's not going to turn around and betray our secrets to other people. Maybe a coworker that you work with in a toxic work environment that you feel safe, you both feel safe going to each other, confiding the things that you're enduring in this workplace without being afraid that one of you is going to go tell the boss what you really think about the things that you're enduring. In a relationship like that, you might know that you have each other's backs, that when things get really rough, you can confide in each other the struggles you're going through without the fear that one of you is going to tell on the other person. Or another example might be a family member that maybe isn't living up to the expectations of the family or isn't comfortable with the family dynamics and is able to go to you and be honest about how they really feel and the struggles that they're going through in the family, knowing that you're not going to go telling all the other family members how they really feel. These kind of relationships are real trust with people that really have your back. And narcissists can sometimes convince us that they are this person, and we can find out the hard way that they're really not. And there are several reasons that narcissists will never have your back. And the first is that narcissists don't want to be the loser. This is the worst thing in the world to them. For some of us that have empathy and actually love and care for people, one of the worst things for us would be knowing that we let someone down and that we hurt somebody that we cared about. But narcissists really don't care about that. The thought of losing is much, much worse to a narcissist than the thought of hurting somebody that counted on them. So having your back would mean taking a risk or giving something up And in the narcissist's mind, not getting anything in return for that, because your ability to trust them and your feelings and your welfare are not something that they place any value in. So if they were to give something up for you, in their mind, they're not getting anything in return if all they're getting in return is you're better off for it. So let's go back to the example of the coworkers. Two coworkers that work in a very toxic environment that know that they can confide in each other when they're having a hard day, and the other's not going to go to the boss and tell them what the other one said. Well, if I was a narcissist and a coworker that was really struggling came to me and told me how she or he really felt about the workplace, I would be giving something up if I didn't somehow exploit that and go to upper management and throw that person under the bus if I work in a really toxic environment. When I listen to that coworker and I don't go tell upper management about what that person's saying, and I just allow a safe space for that person to express his or her feelings, I'm giving up the opportunity of sucking up to the boss, and I'm taking a risk that if the boss ever finds out that we're sounding boards for each other and we're confiding in each other, that I'm gonna get in trouble. And also, if I'm a narcissist, I don't trust the other coworker not to do the same. I figure that if we're sitting here confiding in each other our feelings, that she or he is going to go behind my back and betray me, so I better do it first. And the same thing goes with the example of a family member that isn't comfortable with the family dynamics. If I'm a narcissist, I don't really care about that person's welfare. I don't care about their feelings or their mental health. I'm only looking out for how things are going to benefit me. And I might be looking out for how good it's going to make me look if I'm defending whatever the family values are that are making this family member uncomfortable. The only time a narcissist is really going to help you is when it makes them look good, or when it makes you feel a little more indebted or obligated to them. So some of them are going to come and help you when your car breaks down because it makes them look like the hero. But they're not going to keep your secrets if you're confiding in them how you really feel, if it's going to benefit them more to be the person that tells on you. It just doesn't make any sense to a narcissist to do things or give things or risk things simply for your benefit, because they really don't believe that you would do the same for them. They really don't believe that anyone would do the same for them, even though they do demand it. It's kind of funny. Narcissists demand absolute loyalty and will accept nothing less. No matter what they do, they expect you to be loyal to them. But at the same time, they don't really trust you to be loyal. And they certainly have no loyalty towards you. And part of that is because they don't really believe that at the end of the day, you're going to be loyal to them, even though they expect and demand it. So the simple reasons that a narcissist is really never going to be there for you could be summed up by the facts that they don't trust you, and they don't really care about your welfare. And if they're put in a position where they have to give something up or take a risk without getting anything in return, they feel like you're taking advantage of them. They feel a little too vulnerable, and they don't feel like they're getting anything in return for it. It just doesn't make sense to them to do that. Also, when a narcissist has your back and they don't get anything in return for it, they feel like they're losing a little bit of control. They'll be there for you if it adds to your feeling of obligation towards them, if it adds to the list of things that they can say, after everything I did for you, this is how you're going to treat me. They'll be there for you if it's going to add to that, if it's going to further convince you that you need to do everything that they tell you to. But if they actually start doing things that cost them something and that they're risking something for, they're really putting themselves in a position where they are now trusting you and handing control back over to you, because they're trusting you not to throw them under the bus. But I don't want to leave people feeling like you can't trust anybody. I mean, this isn't a simple subject. This can get really complicated, and that's why it's such a big problem. We as human beings need to be able to trust some people. And narcissists really get in there and mess with this. They mess with our ability to trust people that we can trust. And they betray us in ways that can really scar us for life and leave us wondering who we can trust if we couldn't trust them. And I don't want people going away from this video thinking that we should never trust anybody and that we should look at everyone with suspicion and that anybody that we think has our back is probably going to throw us under the bus at some point. There are plenty of people in this world that we can trust that are going to have our backs. And unfortunately, narcissists don't go around with labels on their foreheads that say, "Hi, I'm a narcissist and I'm going to throw you under the bus someday." So who do we trust? How do we know where to draw this line? How do we know when we can or cannot confide in somebody? I alluded to this a little in the beginning of the video, but I know that I've had experiences in my life where I've had relationships with people, be it friendships or romantic relationships, different types of relationships where I assumed that I could trust that person. I assumed that that person had my back, and then that person demonstrated that they did not. They demonstrated that they did not care about my feelings and that when it benefited them, they were basically going to abandon me. And when these things happened on small scales, I would excuse them. I would brush them off and I would think, well, they probably didn't mean it, or they probably just don't understand that that hurt my feelings. And I just couldn't accept or believe that this person I trusted was just perfectly willing to throw me under the bus. Just really didn't care about my feelings. I couldn't really process that or believe it. That was not a possibility in my mind. So I think that that is a really important thing to learn, that when somebody shows you that they don't really care about your feelings, when somebody shows you that they're willing to do something that hurts you, to learn from that and to learn that, okay, this person that I thought I could trust, they have shown me that I cannot trust them, and I need to accept that and learn from it. Like the first time somebody tells someone else a secret that you confided in them, stop telling them your secrets. Believe it when somebody shows you what they're really all about. Don't brush things off and don't assume, well, if I give them another chance, or, oh, that was just some kind of fluke. Collect information on people based on how they actually treat you, based on what they actually show you. I think for me, I trusted people far too quickly because I felt a need to be able to trust people. And I didn't make people earn my trust. I instead would just trust people that told me that I could trust them or made me feel like I could trust them. And then as they showed me over time that I couldn't trust them, I refused to believe it. I don't think that we should enter relationships automatically trusting someone, but I also don't think we should enter relationships automatically not trusting somebody. I think that we should enter relationships with a blank slate and with a question mark. Is this somebody that can be trusted? And then allow them over time to show you if they are somebody that can or cannot be trusted. As relationships progress, I think we see on a small scale the little ways that somebody has our back or the little ways that they don't. And I think it's important to take that information in, trust it, learn from it. And then when somebody actually shows us that there's someone that we can trust, that we're able to be vulnerable enough and take enough risk to trust that person and to give that person the trust that they have earned over time. Some things that we could look out for are, is this person emotionally supportive? When I go to them with emotional problems, do they seem to understand, or do they listen to me? Or do they play devil's advocate? Do they brush me off? Do they invalidate me? Do they ask me what I did to deserve something? Or do they only point out the things that I did wrong? If I say something to this person that's maybe a little sensitive, do they go around and tell other people, assuming that anything I tell them is something they can tell everybody else? Is this somebody that tries to warn me if they can see that something might hurt me or that I might get in trouble with somebody? Is this somebody that's looking out for me and seems to actually care about what might happen to me? Another really important thing to pay attention to is, does this person keep their promises? If they promise me that they're going to be somewhere Saturday at 5 o'clock to help me with something, do they bail on me, or can I rely on them to be there? Do they say things like, I never promised that, or, oh, I didn't know what you meant, or I'm sorry, plans changed, I'm busy? Are they there for you in small ways? Do they come to your rescue in a conversation that you can't find your way out of? Or are they willing to lend you a jacket when it's cold outside? If they find out something embarrassing about you, do they keep it to themselves? Do they try to help you out of the situation, or do they exploit it and humiliate you and make fun of you? Are they somebody that's going to catch you emotionally? Are they a safe space where you can say the things that you really think and express your real opinions and feelings about things? Narcissists at no point in the relationship will really do any of these things for you. And if they do, it will just be a very shallow, showy way of showing these things. And none of these things are really going to stand the test of time or really have any kind of foundation to them. Narcissists can't help but throw you under the bus in little ways as your relationship progresses. And I think it's important to recognize this. And if you don't cut off the relationship with them for whatever reason, to at least be aware that they are not somebody that you can trust. They're not somebody that you can share secrets with. They're not somebody that you can rely on. You can't think in the back of your head that, well, if anything really terrible happens with this or with that, they're going to be there for me. Because narcissists, when push comes to shove, are never going to be there for anybody if it costs them something. And it's important to see the little signs that they will show you along the way, that they really aren't going to be there for you when you need them, than to brush these things off and brush them off until you really, really need them one day, only to find that they've thrown you under the bus, that they've exploited your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities, and that you really were never able to count on them at all. If you're looking for a way to support my channel and you've been considering professional therapy, BetterHelp is offering 10% off of your first month of service if you sign up using the link below in my description. And if you sign up using the link below in my description, I'll get a one-time commission, and that'll help me out. It will help you out as well if that's something that you've been thinking about doing. I hope that this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.